The massive chamber buzzed with tension as representatives from 47 different species gathered around the floating conference table. Commander Vex of the Thorian Empire drummed his 6-clawed fingers against the metallic surface, his purple scales shifting with irritation. "All right, everyone. Settle down." Vex's voice boomed through the universal translator. "We are here to discuss the elephant in the room, or should I say, the blue marble?" A collective groan rippled through the assembly. "Oh, come on," squeaked Pip, the diminutive representative of the Squealer Coalition. Her orange fur bristled as she bounced in her oversized chair. "Are we seriously talking about Earth again? That boring little rock with the weird bipeds?" Boring? Admiral Zork of the Crusher Fleet slammed his massive fist on the table, causing several smaller delegates to jump. His gray skin turned a darker shade of irritation. "That boring little rock has been sitting there for millennia, completely undefended, and not one of us has managed to claim it." "Technically," interrupted Dr. Nix, the insectoid scientist from the Hive Collective, clicking her mandibles thoughtfully, "Earth does have some primitive defense systems. Nuclear weapons, conventional armies, that sort of thing." The chamber erupted in laughter. "Nuclear weapons," wheezed General Boom of the Explosive Brigade, his red carapace shaking with mirth. "Oh, that's rich. We are talking about species that can crack planets like eggs, and we are worried about nuclear weapons?" "Exactly my point." Vex stood up, his tail lashing behind him. "We have antimatter cannons, planet crackers, reality-bending weapons, and yet, somehow, that little blue planet remains stubbornly unconquered." Silence fell over the chamber as the weight of that statement sank in. Captain Flux of the Shapeshifter dynasty raised a tentacle. Wait. Are you telling me that nobody here has even tried? I mean, seriously. Not one attempted invasion?" "Oh, plenty have tried," muttered Senator Grimm from the Shadow Realm, his dark form flickering ominously. "The question is, where did they all go?" A chill ran through the assembly. "What do you mean? Where did they go?" Pip's voice had lost its cheerful tone. Senator Grimm's glowing eyes swept across the room. "The Ravager Horde launched a full-scale invasion fleet 3 centuries ago. 5,000 ships, armed to the teeth. They sent regular reports for the first week, then nothing. Complete radio silence." That can't be right," stammered Dr. Nix, her compound eyes blinking rapidly. "The Ravagers were known for their brutality. They conquered 17 systems before heading to Earth, and they were never heard from again," Grimm continued coldly. "Just like the Plasma Lords, the Steel Claw Empire, and the Quantum Raiders. All vanished without a trace after setting course for that seemingly harmless little planet." Admiral Zork's confidence began to waver. But that's impossible. Humans barely have space travel. They can't even leave their own solar system properly. Can't they? Vex pulled up a holographic display showing Earth's position in the galaxy. "Look at the navigation charts, my dear Admiral. Notice anything unusual?" The delegates leaned forward, studying the display intently. "By the 7 moons of Craxus," gasped Captain Flux. "There's a dead zone around Earth. No trade routes, no shipping lanes, no settlements within a 50-light-year radius." "Exactly." Vex pointed dramatically at the hologram. "It's like the entire galactic community has unconsciously agreed to avoid that sector of space." "But why? What could possibly make hardened space pirates, ruthless conquerors, and profit-hungry traders all steer clear of one tiny planet?" "Maybe," suggested Pip nervously, "maybe it's just a coincidence? I mean, space is big, right? Lots of empty sectors." "Oh, sure." Vex's sarcasm was thick enough to cut with a plasma blade. "Just a coincidence that every single military force that's ever approached Earth has mysteriously vanished. Just a coincidence that seasoned traders refuse to establish routes through that sector. Just a coincidence that our most advanced scouts report technical difficulties whenever they get within scanning range." The chamber fell into an uncomfortable silence. Finally, Dr. Nix spoke up, her voice barely above a whisper. "So, what are you suggesting we do about it?" Vex's eyes gleamed with determination. "We are going to find out what makes Earth so special. We are going to solve this mystery once and for all." "And how exactly do you propose we do that?" Admiral Zork asked skeptically. "Simple," Vex grinned, revealing rows of sharp teeth. "We are going to send in a reconnaissance team. A small, undetectable group to observe these humans up close and personal. Figure out what their secret is. And if they don't come back?" Pip squeaked. Vex's grin widened. "Then we will know we are dealing with something far more dangerous than nuclear weapons." The meeting adjourned with an ominous sense of foreboding hanging in the air. 3 hours later, the council reconvened in the archive chamber, surrounded by floating holographic displays and data streams. Dr. Nix had pulled every available record from the Galactic Historical Database, and the results were as settling. "Okay, everyone, buckle up," Dr. Nix announced, her mandibles clicking nervously. "Because what I'm about to show you is going to make your exoskeletons crawl." She activated the first display, showing a massive crimson fleet. Let's start with the Bloodfang Armada, approximately 800 years ago. Led by Warlord Slash, they specialized in planetary subjugation, conquered 43 worlds in just 2 decades. "I remember reading about them," Admiral Zork nodded. "A ruthless bunch. What happened when they reached Earth?" "That's the thing," Dr. Nix's voice dropped to an ominous whisper. "According to their final transmission, they achieved orbital superiority within 6 hours. Complete space dominance. The humans had nothing that could touch them." "So they won?" Pip asked hopefully. "That's what they thought," Dr. Nix continued. Warlord Slash's last message was, and I quote, "Pathetic planet secured. Beginning ground assault. These soft creatures will make excellent slaves. Victory is assured." "And then?" Captain Flux prompted. And then silence. Total, complete silence. No distress calls, no follow-up reports, no requests for reinforcements. It's like the entire armada just vanished. Uncomfortable shuffling echoed through the chamber. "But surely," Senator Grimm interjected, "someone investigated. Sent a search party?" "Oh, they tried." Dr. Nix pulled up another display. The Bloodfang High Command sent 3 separate rescue missions over the next 50 years. Guess what happened to those? The silence was deafening. "Let me guess," Vex said dryly. "They all decided to take extended vacations on Earth?" But moving on, Dr. Nix ignored the sarcasm and brought up a new hologram. The Tentacle Terror Syndicate, 600 years ago. Masters of psychological warfare and mind control. They could break entire civilizations without firing a single shot. "I have heard of them," whispered Pip, her fur standing on end. "They made entire planets surrender just by broadcasting scary thoughts." "Exactly. So, when they approached Earth, they figured it would be easy pickings. According to their records, they started with their standard fear broadcasts, expecting immediate planetary surrender. Let me guess, Admiral Zork said grimly, it didn't work?" "Oh, it worked all right." Dr. Nix's compound eyes gleamed with disturbed fascination. "But not the way they expected. Instead of cowering in terror, the humans seemed to enjoy it. Their final transmission mentioned something about humans creating horror movies and haunted houses for entertainment purposes. That's not normal." Captain Flux's form shifted anxiously. "Fear is supposed to paralyze prey, not entertain them." "It gets worse," Dr. Nix continued. "The Tentacle Terror Syndicate reported that humans started making their own scary broadcasts back at them. According to the logs, these human horror stories were so disturbing that half the Syndicate's fleet suffered psychological breakdowns." "And the other half?" Vex asked, though he wasn't sure he wanted to know. "They tried a direct assault. Last transmission, initiating close-quarters psychological combat. These creatures cannot possibly resist our mental dominance. That was 400 years ago. The Tentacle Terror Syndicate officially disbanded shortly after, citing irreconcilable differences with reality. The chamber had grown noticeably colder. "Please tell me it gets better," Pip whimpered. "Oh, sweet little Pip." Dr. Nix's voice carried dark amusement. "We are just getting started." Next up, the Machine Collective, 300 years ago. Pure artificial intelligence, no emotions, no fear, just cold logic and overwhelming firepower. "Machines can't be psychologically broken," Admiral Zork said with forced confidence. "What could humans possibly do to artificial intelligence?" Dr. Nix pulled up a massive display showing geometric ships. The Machine Collective calculated a 99.7% probability of victory. They had superior technology, numerical advantage, and no biological weaknesses to exploit. "Sounds foolproof," Captain Flux admitted grudgingly. That's what they thought. Their attack plan was flawless: disable human communications, eliminate military installations, establish control networks. Standard machine efficiency. "So what went wrong?" Senator Grimm asked, his form flickering with anticipation. According to the collective's final data burst, the humans did something unexpected. Instead of fighting back with conventional warfare, they started doing something the machines called creative problem-solving and innovative adaptation. "That doesn't sound scary," Pip said hopefully. The machines described it as illogical tactical modifications resulting in unprecedented combat effectiveness. Apparently, humans started turning household items into weapons, using their own infrastructure against the invaders, and employing tactics that violated every known principle of warfare. "Like what?" Vex demanded. "Well, according to the logs, humans figured out how to hack machine systems using something called duct tape and determination. They also employed what the collective termed suicidal bravery and impossible morale. The final transmission was just error codes, and the phrase 'does not compute' repeated over and over. And they all disappeared too." Admiral Zork's voice was barely audible. "Every last circuit. But here's the truly terrifying part." Dr. Nix paused dramatically. 6 months later, Earth's technological development suddenly accelerated. They went from primitive computers to advanced AI in just a few decades. The implication hung in the air like a toxic cloud. "You are suggesting," Senator Grimm said slowly, "that humans somehow absorbed the Machine Collective?" "I'm not suggesting anything," Dr. Nix replied. "I'm just presenting the data. But I have got 43 more case studies just like these, spanning 8 centuries. Every single invasion force gone without a trace. And every time, Earth seems to come out better than before." The council members stared at each other in growing horror, and finally beginning to understand that they might be dealing with something far more dangerous than they had ever imagined. After the disturbing revelations from the archives, Commander Vex called an emergency strategy session. The tension in the smaller briefing room was so thick you could practically slice it with a neutron blade. "All right, listen up." Vex paced back and forth, his tail swishing with nervous energy. "We need a reconnaissance team, and we need it fast. But this isn't going to be your typical scouting mission. We are dealing with a planet that apparently eats invasion fleets for breakfast." "So what's the plan?" asked Captain Flux, his form rippling with anxiety. "It's simple. We go in small, we go in quiet, and we observe from a distance. No direct contact, no aggressive actions, no announcing ourselves with giant laser cannons blazing." Admiral Zork snorted. "Cowardly approach, if you ask me." "Nobody did ask you," Vex shot back, "and considering that every brave approach has resulted in complete disappearance, maybe cowardly is exactly what we need right now." Dr. Nix activated a holographic roster. "I have compiled a list of potential team members based on their specialties and, more importantly, their survival instincts. First candidate," she announced, bringing up a profile, Scout Prime of the Stealth Corps. "He successfully infiltrated hostile territories on 17 different worlds without being detected once." A tall, lanky figure materialized in the hologram, covered in adaptive camouflage that shifted colors constantly. Scout Prime specializes in long-range observation and has the remarkable ability to remain completely motionless for up to 6 months. Perfect for watching humans without being noticed. Good choice, Vex nodded. Who else? Analyst Probe from the Data Mining Guild. Dr. Nix continued. She can process and interpret massive amounts of information in real time. If there's a pattern to human behavior, she will find it. The hologram showed a spherical being covered in sensor arrays and blinking lights. Probe has successfully analyzed 43 different species and predicted their behavioral patterns with 94% accuracy. She also has the useful talent of not panicking when faced with the unknown, which might come in handy, muttered Senator Grimm darkly. Next, we have Tech Wizard from the Engineering Brotherhood. Dr. Nix brought up an image of a multi-armed mechanical being. He specializes in understanding alien technology and can reverse engineer almost anything. Why do we need an engineer? Pip asked. Because, Vex explained patiently, if humans really are absorbing the technology of failed invasion forces, we need someone who can figure out how they are doing it. Also, Dr. Nix added, Tech Wizard has a remarkable survival record. He's the only engineer to successfully escape from a collapsing singularity bomb. Twice. Impressive, Captain Flux admitted. Anyone else? Last but not least, Medic Swift from the Healing Alliance. The hologram showed a graceful bird-like creature with multiple medical appendages. She specializes in xenobiology and emergency medicine. Medical support? Admiral Zork looked skeptical. Are we expecting casualties on a simple observation mission? Admiral, Vex said grimly, at this point, I'm expecting everything. If our team runs into trouble, I want someone who can patch them up and get them home alive. Swift also has extensive experience treating psychological trauma, Dr. Nix added quietly. Based on what happened to the Tentacle Terror Syndicate, that might be more important than physical medical care. A sobering silence fell over the room. So that's our team, Vex announced. Scout Prime for stealth observation, Analyst Probe for data interpretation, Tech Wizard for understanding human technology, and Medic Swift for keeping everyone sane and healthy. What about leadership? Asked Senator Grimm. I will be leading the mission personally, Vex declared. This is too important to delegate. And if you don't come back? Pip's voice was barely a squeak. Vex grinned that unsettling toothy grin again. Then you will know we found something worth staying for, or something that didn't give us a choice in the matter. Dr. Nix pulled up the mission timeline. The team will deploy in a modified stealth ship equipped with advanced sensors and cloaking technology. Estimated travel time to Earth, 12 days. The mission duration, 30 days of observation, then mandatory return regardless of findings. Mandatory return? Tech Wizard's mechanical voice crackled through the comm system from the engineering bay. What if we need more time? No extensions, Vex said firmly. 30 days, then we come home. I'm not adding our names to the list of missing fleets. The team was assembled, the ship was prepared, and the course was set. As they departed the station, none of them realized they were about to discover why Earth had remained unconquered for so long. The answer was far more terrifying than they could possibly imagine. 12 days later, the stealth ship Silent Observer hung in Earth's shadow, its cloaking systems humming quietly. Commander Vex stared at the blue-green planet through the viewscreen, trying to suppress the uneasiness crawling up his spine. Okay, team, he announced, we are in position. Scout Prime, deploy your observation drones. Let's see what makes these humans tick. Scout Prime's camouflaged form shimmered as he activated his equipment. Drones launched, Commander. Establishing visual contact with O. O? What kind of O is that? Vex demanded. The confusing kind, sir. I'm picking up thousands of heat signatures in organized clusters. They appear to be living peacefully. Analyst Probe's sensors whirred frantically. Confirmed. No active warfare detected planet-wide. This is unusual for a species that supposedly defeats invasion fleets. Dr. Medic Swift peered over Probe's shoulder, her feathered head tilting in confusion. Maybe they are in a recovery period? Rebuilding after the last invasion attempt? Let's focus on one location, Vex decided. Scout Prime, zoom in on that large settlement on the eastern continent. The main screen filled with images of a bustling human city. Thousands of bipedal creatures moved through structured pathways, operating primitive vehicles and entering tall structures. Fascinating, murmured Tech Wizard, his mechanical appendages clicking excitedly. They have organized themselves into complex social hierarchies. Look at those transportation systems. Primitive, but surprisingly efficient. Wait, Scout Prime's voice carried a note of bewilderment. Are they doing this voluntarily? What do you mean? Vex asked. Well, sir, I see no evidence of forced labor, no slave drivers, no oppression enforcement systems. They just seem to be cooperating with each other. Analyst Probe's sensors blinked rapidly. That can't be right. Check for hidden control mechanisms, mind control devices, fear projectors, compliance chips. Scout Prime's drones swept the area thoroughly. Nothing, Probe. No external control systems detected. They appear to be self-organizing. Self-organizing. Vex's voice cracked slightly. That's impossible. No species can maintain complex civilization without strict hierarchical control. Commander, Medic Swift spoke up nervously. I'm detecting something strange in their biological readings. Their stress hormones are elevated, but not from fear or oppression. Then what's causing it? I think they are stressed about being late for something called work. And there's widespread anxiety about something called traffic. The team stared at each other in confusion. They are voluntarily stressing themselves. Tech Wizard's voice carried disbelief. What kind of psychological warfare is this? Focus on individual specimens, Vex ordered. Maybe smaller groups will make more sense. Scout Prime adjusted his drones to observe a residential area. I have got visual on a family unit, 2 adult specimens and 2 smaller ones. Wait, this is weird. Define weird, Vex said with growing dread. The larger specimens appear to be nurturing, the smaller ones are providing food, protection, education. But here's the strange part. They seem to be enjoying it. Enjoying child rearing? Medic Swift gasped. That's completely contrary to optimal resource allocation. Most species consider offspring a necessary burden at best. It gets weirder, Scout Prime continued. I'm watching one of the small ones fall down and injure itself. The adult immediately stopped all other activities to provide comfort and medical attention. Then, and I swear this is accurate, the adult made exaggerated facial expressions and vocalized in rhythmic patterns until the small one began displaying signs of happiness. Rhythmic vocalizations? Analyst Probe's confusion was evident. You mean like a battle cry? No, Probe. More like they were trying to make the injury hurt less by being silly? Stunned silence filled the bridge. Commander, Tech Wizard spoke up hesitantly. I'm analyzing their technological signatures. These humans have developed something extraordinary. Finally, some advanced weaponry we can understand? Not exactly, sir. They have created a global information network that allows instant communication across their entire planet. Standard stuff for any decent civilization, Vex waved dismissively. Yes, but sir, they are using it to share pictures of small furry animals. What? Ew. And videos of their offspring doing amusing things, and images of their food, and arguments about whether certain colors are actually other colors. Vex felt a headache forming behind his eyes. That makes no tactical sense whatsoever. Wait, there's more, Scout Prime interrupted excitedly. I have found a group engaged in what appears to be ritualistic combat. Finally. Show me their warrior training. The screen shifted to show humans in a large open area, chasing a spherical object and attempting to move it between 2 posts. This is their military exercise? Admiral Zork's voice crackled through the comm system from the home base. I think so? Scout Prime sounded uncertain. They are displaying remarkable coordination, physical prowess, and strategic thinking. But they are also celebrating when they succeed. And the ones watching are making loud, supportive noises. You mean they enjoy combat training? Medic Swift asked in horror. It appears so. And here's the really disturbing part. When the ritual combat ends, both sides congratulate each other and share beverages. They are fraternizing with the enemy, Vex exclaimed. That's completely against every principle of warfare. Commander, Analyst Probe spoke up quietly. I think we need to reconsider our assumptions about these creatures. What do you mean? Well, sir, we have been operating under the premise that humans are weak because they appear peaceful. But what if? What if their peacefulness isn't weakness? What if it's a choice? The implications of that statement hung in the air like a toxic cloud. You are suggesting, Vex said slowly, that humans are capable of violence but choose not to engage in it most of the time? Look at the evidence, Commander. They voluntarily organize complex societies. They care for their young beyond necessity. They share resources and information freely. They turn combat into entertainment and competition into friendship. So what kind of species has the luxury of being peaceful by choice? What kind of creature is so secure in its survival that it can afford to be nice? Tech Wizard's mechanical voice carried a note of dawning horror. Commander, I'm detecting massive underground installations across the planet. Hardened bunkers, weapons storage, defensive networks. This isn't a defenseless planet. This is a fortress that's pretending to be a garden. And the most terrifying part, Medic Swift whispered, is that they are not even using most of it. All this defensive capability, all this potential for destruction, and they are choosing to chase balls around and share pictures of cute animals instead. Commander Vex stared at the peaceful scenes playing out on his view screen, finally beginning to understand why so many invasion fleets had simply vanished. They hadn't been defeated by Earth's weapons. They had been defeated by Earth's restraint. And that was infinitely more terrifying than any superweapon could ever be. 3 days into their observation mission, Scout Prime's excited voice crackled over the intercom, interrupting what had become an increasingly disturbing routine of watching humans be nice to each other. Commander, you need to see this right now. Let me guess, Vex replied wearily. They are sharing more pictures of small animals. Oh, sir. I have found a restricted area with massive energy signatures. It looks like some kind of training facility. Finally, Vex practically lunged toward the view screen. Show me their warrior academies. Let's see what passes for military training on this backwards planet. The screen flickered to life, revealing a vast desert landscape dotted with structures and vehicles. But what they saw next made every alien on the ship freeze in stunned silence. By the 7 sons of Arcturus, Tech Wizard whispered, his mechanical voice stuttering. Are those actual military vehicles? Spread across the terrain were massive metal beasts that dwarfed anything the team had expected. Enormous tracked vehicles bristling with weapons, flying machines that moved with predatory grace, and soldiers moving with precision that spoke of serious, deadly training. Analyst Probe. Vex's voice was barely controlled. Scan those vehicles. Tell me they are just for show. Probe's sensors worked frantically. Commander, these aren't ceremonial weapons. Those tank-like vehicles are equipped with kinetic energy projectiles capable of punching through reinforced armor plating. The flying machines are carrying enough explosive ordnance to level a small city. But they were chasing balls around yesterday. Medic Swift protested weakly. Watch this. Scout Prime zoomed in on a group of human soldiers. They are starting some kind of exercise. What followed was a masterclass in coordinated destruction that left the alien observers speechless. The humans moved across the battlefield like a perfectly synchronized death machine. They communicated through hand signals, coordinated air and ground strikes with terrifying precision, even demonstrated tactical flexibility that adapted to changing situations in real time. Look at that flanking maneuver. Tech Wizard's voice carried horrified admiration. They are using the terrain to mask their approach while simultaneously coordinating a pincer movement from 3 different directions. And those flying machines. Scout Prime added. They are providing covering fire while evacuating wounded personnel. The level of coordination is impossible, Vex finished grimly. No species should be able to coordinate that effectively without cybernetic enhancement or hive mind linkage. But the demonstration was far from over. Commander, Analyst Probe's voice carried growing alarm. I'm detecting something strange. These humans appear to be simulating combat against multiple enemy types. Show me. The screen split to reveal different sections of the exercise. In one area, humans were practicing urban warfare, moving through mock cities with the fluid grace of apex predators. In another, they were conducting amphibious assaults that would make seasoned space marines weep with envy. This is a nightmare, Medic Swift whispered. They are not just training for one type of warfare. They are preparing for every conceivable combat scenario. It gets worse, Scout Prime reported. I'm picking up similar facilities across the entire planet. Dozens of them. Maybe hundreds. You mean, Vex asked faintly, they are all training like this? Not all of them, sir. According to my scans, only a small percentage of their population engages in military training. But that small percentage, Commander, based on population analysis, they have millions of these trained warriors. The implications crashed over the alien team like a collapsing star. Millions? Tech Wizard's voice cracked. Millions of soldiers with this level of training. And that's just their professional military, Analyst Probe added helpfully. I'm also detecting extensive civilian training programs. Something called hunting, martial arts, and competitive shooting. It appears that combat skills are considered recreational activities? Recreational. Vex's tail lashed violently. They practice warfare for fun. Wait. Scout Prime's voice rose to a panicked pitch. You need to see this. They are bringing out some kind of specialized equipment. The view screen focused on humans setting up what appeared to be long-range precision instruments. Sniper training, Probe identified after a moment. They are practicing elimination of targets from extreme distances. They watched in horrified fascination as human marksmen consistently hit targets so far away they were barely visible, even with advanced alien optics. But the accuracy rate is over 90%, Probe reported in a dead voice, at ranges that would challenge our own elite marksmen. But here's the truly terrifying part, Tech Wizard added, his sensors working overtime. The weapons they are using? They are the same primitive kinetic projectile devices we dismissed as harmless. Harmless. Medic Swift's feathers were standing on end. Those projectiles could penetrate standard armor plating. And they are just the training weapons, Scout Prime added ominously. I'm detecting much more sophisticated armaments in their storage facilities. Like what? Vex demanded, though he was beginning to suspect he didn't want to know. Guided projectiles, area denial weapons, electronic warfare systems, Commander. Some of these weapon signatures match technology from the missing invasion fleets. The silence that followed was deafening. Are you telling me, Vex said very quietly, that humans have been reverse engineering the weapons of every species that's tried to invade them? It appears so, sir. But they have also made improvements. What kind of improvements? Well, they have taken the Ravager plasma cannons and somehow made them more efficient. The tentacle terror mind control devices have been modified into something called psychological operations. And the machine collective's adaptive algorithms? They are using them for something called artificial intelligence. They have been upgrading their technology with every failed invasion, Analyst Probe realized with growing horror. Each attack made them stronger. But the most disturbing part, Medic Swift spoke up reluctantly, is that they are not using any of this against each other anymore. What do you mean? I have been monitoring their global communications. These separate groups, different nations they call them, they used to fight each other constantly. But in recent decades, they have mostly stopped. They still compete, but they have redirected their combat instincts toward what? Toward preparing for external threats. Commander, I think they are united specifically against the possibility of alien invasion. The full scope of what they were observing finally hit them. Let me get this straight, Vex said slowly. Humans spent thousands of years perfecting the art of warfare by fighting each other. Then, when aliens started showing up, they stopped fighting among themselves and focused all that accumulated military knowledge on defending against us. That's exactly what happened, Probe confirmed. And every time someone attacks them, they capture the technology, improve it, and add it to their defensive capabilities. Correct. So the more species that attack Earth, the more dangerous humans become. Exponentially more dangerous, yes. Commander Vex stared at the view screen, watching human soldiers practice maneuvers that could devastate entire fleets while using weapons that had been stolen from those very same fleets and made better. No wonder nobody attacks Earth twice, he whispered. Sir? Scout Prime asked. Don't you see? Earth isn't defenseless. Earth is a trap. A beautiful, peaceful-looking trap that lures in aggressive species, captures their technology, and uses it to become even more formidable. The team watched in horrified silence as the humans concluded their training exercise. But instead of celebrating their martial prowess, they simply packed up their weapons and went home to their families. That casual transition from deadly efficiency to domestic tranquility was perhaps the most terrifying thing of all. Dr. Medic Swift had been unusually quiet for the past day, her sensors working overtime as she conducted deep psychological scans of the human population. When she finally spoke, her voice carried a tremor that made everyone on the bridge look up. Commander, I need to show you something. Something that's going to change everything we think we know about these creatures. Vex turned from the tactical display, noting the disturbed ruffling of Swift's feathers. What kind of something, Doctor? The kind that explains why 47 different invasion fleets have vanished without a trace, Swift replied grimly. I have been conducting psychological profiling of individual humans, and the results are deeply troubling. Show us, Vex commanded, though his tail was already twitching with apprehension. Swift activated her medical display, showing brain scans and psychological readouts. Let's start with stress response patterns. When faced with immediate danger, most species experience fight, flight, or freeze responses. Perfectly normal survival mechanisms. Standard biology. Tech Wizard agreed. Nothing unusual there. Exactly what I thought, Swift continued. Until I observed humans under actual stress conditions. The display showed footage of humans dealing with various crisis situations, natural disasters, accidents, emergencies. Watch this. Swift zoomed in on a scene where a building was collapsing. Normal species would evacuate immediately, prioritizing individual survival above all else. Sensible, Analyst Probe nodded. But look what these humans do instead. The team watched in stunned silence as humans ran toward the danger, not away from it. They formed organized rescue teams, coordinated evacuation efforts, and repeatedly risked their own lives to save complete strangers. That's completely irrational, Scout Prime protested. They are deliberately placing themselves in mortal peril for beings they don't even know. It gets worse, Swift said darkly. I monitored their brain chemistry during these events. Instead of panic hormones, they are releasing what can only be described as bonding chemicals. Bonding chemicals? Vex asked weakly. They are chemically rewarded for helping others in crisis situations. Their brains literally drug them into heroic behavior. That's evolutionary suicide, Tech Wizard exclaimed. Any species that prioritizes others over self-preservation should have gone extinct millions of years ago. Unless, Analyst Probe said slowly, the group survival advantage outweighs individual risk. Exactly. Swift's voice grew more agitated. But it's not just crisis bonding. I have discovered something even more disturbing. Humans possess what I can only call adaptive psychological architecture. Meaning what exactly? Vex demanded. Meaning, they don't just survive trauma, Commander. They use it to become stronger. Swift pulled up a new set of data. I analyzed psychological profiles of humans who had experienced severe hardship, warfare, natural disasters, personal loss. According to every known psychological model, these individuals should be permanently damaged, unable to function effectively. And instead, they have developed enhanced problem-solving abilities, increased emotional resilience, and stronger social bonds. They literally transform psychological damage into psychological advantage. The bridge fell into disturbed silence. You are telling me, Vex said carefully, that trying to break humans psychologically actually makes them stronger. That's exactly what I'm telling you, Commander. And there's more. Swift activated another display showing human behavior patterns. I have been observing their response to competitive situations. When humans are challenged, they don't just fight back, they innovate. Innovate how? Watch this sporting event. Two groups of humans competing for territorial control of a small area. The screen showed what appeared to be a simple game involving moving an object between designated zones. Primitive tribal warfare simulation. Tech wizard dismissed. That's what I thought too, Swift continued. Until I realized they have been playing this same basic game for centuries, but constantly modifying the rules, strategies, and techniques. So? No? What? So they have turned a simple territorial dispute into a complex system for developing tactical thinking, physical conditioning, teamwork coordination, and strategic planning, all while maintaining the illusion that it's just entertainment. They are using games to train warriors? Scout Prime asked in horror. Not just warriors. Problem solvers, team leaders, strategic thinkers. And here's the terrifying part, they do this instinctively. No central authority ordering them to develop these skills. They just do it. Because it's fun. Analyst Probe's sensors were blinking frantically. Commander, I'm detecting a pattern in their historical data. Every time humans face an existential threat, they don't just survive it, they emerge fundamentally changed and more capable. Show me. Massive wars that should have destroyed their civilization instead led to technological leaps. Plagues that should have wiped them out resulted in medical advances. Natural disasters that should have scattered them brought them closer together. It's like Medic Swift added quietly, they are designed to become more dangerous the more you try to destroy them. But surely, Vex protested desperately, there must be some way to break them? Some psychological weakness we can exploit? Swift's feathers ruffled ominously. Commander, I found something else. Something that explains what happened to the Tentacle Terror Syndicate. Go on. Humans don't just resist psychological warfare, they weaponize it. They have created entire entertainment industries based on fear, horror, and psychological manipulation. They deliberately expose themselves to terrifying scenarios for pleasure. That's impossible. They call it horror movies, thriller novels, and haunted attractions. They pay currency to be frightened. They have essentially immunized themselves against psychological attack by making fear into entertainment. The bridge was silent except for the humming of ship systems. There's one more thing, Swift continued reluctantly. I have been monitoring their communication networks, trying to understand their social structure. And they have something called internet memes, Commander. It's a form of rapid cultural evolution where ideas spread, mutate, and adapt across their entire global population in real time. Cultural evolution? They are not just adapting physically and psychologically, Commander. They are adapting culturally at a speed that shouldn't be possible. They can collectively learn from any experience, anywhere on their planet, almost instantly. Tech Wizard's mechanical voice carried dawning horror. Commander, do you realize what this means? Enlighten me. Every invasion attempt doesn't just teach humans how to fight that particular enemy. It teaches them how to fight every possible enemy. They are not just capturing our technology, they are capturing our tactical knowledge, our strategies, our weaknesses. And they are sharing all of it, Probe added, across their entire population through their communication networks. Commander Vex stared at the peaceful scenes of human daily life playing on his view screen, finally understanding the true horror of what they were facing. Humans weren't just dangerous because they were strong or well-armed. They were dangerous because they were perfectly designed to become whatever they needed to become to survive, and every attempt to destroy them only made them better at being indestructible. Commander Scout Prime asked quietly, "What do we do with this information?" Vex was quiet for a long moment, watching humans go about their seemingly innocent daily lives, now knowing the terrifying potential that lurked beneath that peaceful surface. "We make sure," he said finally, "that nobody is ever stupid enough to attack them again." Tech Wizard's mechanical appendages clicked nervously as he accessed Earth's historical databases. "Commander, I have managed to tap into their information networks. You are going to want to see their historical records." "Please tell me it's good news," Vex said, though his voice suggested he already knew better. "Define good news, sir. Because if you mean information that will help us sleep better at night, then no. Absolutely not." The main display activated, showing a timeline stretching back thousands of years. Tech Wizard's voice carried mechanical distress as he began his report. "I started with recent history, thinking maybe humans were naturally peaceful and only became dangerous recently. That was a mistake, Commander. Show me." "Let's begin with what they call World War II, approximately 80 years ago." The display filled with images of massive armies, mechanized warfare, and global conflict. This was a planetary war, Commander, not regional disputes or territorial skirmishes. The entire planet was engaged in coordinated warfare. "Planetary warfare?" Scout Prime whispered. But they barely had space travel. How could they coordinate global military operations?" "Very effectively, apparently," Tech Wizard continued grimly. "They mobilized over 100 million soldiers, developed advanced aircraft, submarines, tanks, and something called radar technology, all while maintaining massive industrial production to support the war effort. Analyst Probe's sensors were working frantically. Tech Wizard scanned backward. How long had they been preparing for conflicts of this scale? "That's the terrifying part, Probe. This wasn't preparation. This was improvisation. They developed most of their advanced military technology during the conflict itself, adapting and innovating under combat pressure." "Impossible." Medic Swift protested. "No species can conduct research and development while simultaneously fighting for survival." "Humans can, Doctor, and they did. But wait, it gets worse." Tech Wizard scrolled further back in the timeline. Before World War II, there was World War I. Before that, something called the Napoleonic Wars. Before that, the 100 Years' War. Commander, humans have been engaged in almost continuous warfare for their entire recorded history. "Continuous warfare?" Vex's voice cracked. "For how long?" "Thousands of years, sir, and not just small tribal conflicts. Large-scale, sophisticated military campaigns involving millions of participants, complex logistics, and advanced tactical coordination." The display showed battle after battle, war after war, each conflict more elaborate than the last. "Look at this." Tech Wizard highlighted a particular conflict, the Roman Empire. They conquered and controlled territory spanning 3 continents for over 1,000 years, using primitive technology and sheer organizational brilliance. 1,000 years? Scout Prime gasped. They maintained a military empire for 1,000 years without faster-than-light travel or energy weapons, through discipline, logistics, and tactical innovation. And when the Roman Empire fell, did humans learn to live peacefully? Oh no, they immediately started developing even more sophisticated forms of warfare. Tech Wizard brought up medieval battles, showing armored cavalry charges and siege warfare. They built massive fortifications, developed siege engines, created professional military classes, all while simultaneously advancing their technology, art, and culture. They were fighting wars and building civilization at the same time? Medic Swift asked in horror. Not just building civilization, Doctor. Perfecting it. Look at this, the Renaissance period. While engaged in continuous military conflicts, they somehow found time to create art, literature, scientific breakthroughs, and architectural marvels that still stand today. The analyst probe was processing the data with increasing alarm. For Commander, the pattern is clear. Human warfare isn't destructive to their civilization. It's the driving force behind their advancement. What do you mean? Every major war led to technological innovations that improved their society. Military engineering became civil engineering. Combat medicine became advanced healthcare. Military communication systems became their global information networks. Tech Wizard nodded enthusiastically, his mechanical voice rising with excitement and terror. Exactly. They have been using warfare as a research and development program for millennia. But surely, Vex protested weakly, some of these conflicts must have nearly destroyed them. Oh, they did, Commander. Multiple times. Plagues that killed a third of their population, wars that devastated entire continents, natural disasters that should have ended their civilization. And they bounced back stronger every single time. After the Black Death, they entered the Renaissance. After World War I, they experienced unprecedented technological growth. It's like they used catastrophe as motivation. Medic Swift was studying the psychological profiles with growing alarm. Commander, I'm analyzing the personality types of their historical military leaders. This can't be right. What now? Now. Many of their most successful military commanders show psychological profiles that would be classified as dangerously unstable by our standards. Excessive aggression, willingness to sacrifice resources for strategic advantage, ability to maintain morale under impossible odds. Unstable leaders leading unstable armies? No, sir. Unstable leaders leading perfectly disciplined armies who followed them willingly into battles that should have been suicide missions. And won. Tech Wizard brought up battle analyses. Look at these tactical records, Commander. Humans regularly achieved victory against numerically superior forces through pure strategic brilliance and refusal to accept defeat. They don't know when to quit, Scout Prime realized with dawning horror. Worse than that, Analyst Probe added. They have turned not quitting into a cultural virtue. They have sayings like never give up, fight to the last, and victory or death. Victory or death, Vex repeated faintly. It gets worse, Commander, Tech Wizard continued relentlessly. I found records of something called guerrilla warfare. When conventional military resistance became impossible, humans developed techniques for continued resistance using civilian populations, improvised weapons, and unconventional tactics. Meaning that even if you completely defeat their armies, destroy their infrastructure, and occupy their territory, individual humans will continue fighting using whatever resources they can find. They have created entire military doctrines based on the assumption that formal defeat is just the beginning of real resistance. The bridge fell into stunned silence as the full implications sank in. So, Vex said slowly, every species that's ever tried to invade Earth was essentially challenging a planet full of beings who had spent thousands of years perfecting the art of warfare, who consider catastrophic defeat to be merely a temporary setback, and who will continue fighting with improvised weapons even after their civilization has been destroyed. That's exactly right, Commander. And they do all this while maintaining peaceful societies, raising families, and sharing pictures of cute animals? Correct. Commander Vex stared at the historical timeline, finally understanding why Earth's orbital space was littered with the debris of failed invasion fleets. They hadn't just been attacking a planet. They had been challenging the apex predators of warfare itself. 2 hours after the silent observer returned to the station, every available council member had been summoned to an emergency session. Commander Vex stood before the assembly, his purple scales now a sickly pale shade. Honored delegates, he began, his voice unusually subdued, we have discovered why Earth remains unconquered. Well? Admiral Zork demanded impatiently. Are they hiding some super weapon? Advanced alien allies? Dimensional barriers? Worse, Vex replied grimly. They are human. Confused murmurs rippled through the assembly. What Commander Vex means, Dr. Nick stepped forward, is that humans are essentially weaponized evolution. They have spent millennia turning every challenge, every disaster, every attempted conquest into an opportunity to become more dangerous. Impossible, squeaked Pip. They looked so peaceful in the preliminary scans. They are peaceful, Medic Swift confirmed. My choice. And that's what makes them terrifying. Any species capable of such violence that chooses peace instead. They are not defenseless, they are disciplined. Senator Grimm's form flickered ominously. So what do you recommend? Commander Vex looked around the chamber at 47 different species, all of whom had probably entertained thoughts of claiming Earth at one point or another. I recommend, he said with absolute finality, that we collectively agree to leave Earth alone. Forever. And if someone ignores that recommendation? General Boom asked. Then they will become another footnote in human history. Another failed invasion that made humanity stronger, more united, and more prepared for the next fool who thinks a peaceful planet must be a weak planet. The chamber fell silent as the delegates absorbed this information. Motion carried, Senator Grimm announced. Earth is hereby designated as a protected system. Any unauthorized approach will be considered an act of galactic stupidity. And with that, the mystery of Earth's immunity was solved, not through superior firepower or advanced technology, but through the simple recognition that some sleeping dragons are best left undisturbed. The universe was vast enough without picking fights with creatures who turned warfare into an art form, then chose peace as their masterpiece.